Why most people never actually get rich, and the one thing that changes it. Hey, what's up everyone? Welcome back to David Invests. If you are new here, this channel exists for one reason: to give regular people the financial information that nobody handed them growing up. The stuff that wealthy families talk about at dinner that most of us never heard at our tables. No jargon, no gatekeeping, no pretending this stuff is more complicated than it actually is. Just honest, clear, practical information that you can use starting right now wherever you are. And if you have been following this series from the beginning, you know the crew. Chris and Priya building their Roth IRAs, Raymond and Keisha navigating their emergency funds, Andre and Vanessa working through their debt payoff plans. Regular people making real progress, one decision at a time. Today's video is different from the others. Today I am not going to walk you through a specific financial tool or a specific strategy. Today I want to talk about something bigger, something that sits underneath every strategy, every tool, every tip, and every piece of financial advice you have ever received. Because here is something I have thought about a lot while making this channel. The information on how to build wealth is not hard to find. It has never been easier to access. There are thousands of books, videos, podcasts, articles, and courses explaining exactly what to do with money. The information is everywhere, and yet the majority of Americans still retire with less than $100,000 saved. The majority of working adults are living paycheck to paycheck. The majority of people who start a debt payoff plan or an investing habit quit within 18 months. So the question I want to answer today is not what to do. You probably already know the basics of what to do. The question is, why don't most people actually do it? And more importantly, what is the one thing that separates the people who build real wealth from the people who always intend to, but never quite get there? Let's get into it. I want to start with a story about a man named Thomas. Not someone from our regular cast of characters, someone a little older, someone further down the road. Thomas is 52 years old. He lives in Cincinnati, Ohio. He works as a project manager at a mid-sized manufacturing company and makes $68,000 a year, a salary he worked 23 years to reach. He is smart, hardworking, well-liked at his job, and genuinely one of the most responsible people in his personal life. He shows up on time, he keeps his word, he takes care of his family. He is the kind of person his coworkers trust and his neighbors respect. Thomas also has $31,000 saved for retirement at age 52. After 23 years of working, after 2 decades of earning a real income, $31,000. Now, before I say anything else, I want to be clear about something. Thomas is not lazy. Thomas is not irresponsible. Thomas is not a cautionary tale designed to make you feel superior to someone who made bad choices. Thomas is the average American. His $31,000 at 52 is almost exactly in line with what studies show the median American has saved at that age. Thomas is not the exception. Thomas is the rule. And understanding why Thomas ended up here, despite being smart, hardworking, and genuinely wanting a different outcome, is the most important financial lesson I can share on this channel. Because the same forces that shape Thomas's financial life are shaping yours right now, whether you realize it or not. I want to walk you through the 7 reasons most people never build real wealth. Not because any one of them is a surprising insight you have never heard before, but because seeing all of them laid out together, understanding how they interact and reinforce each other, changes how you see your own financial situation in a way that one piece of advice at a time never quite does. Reason number 1, they never made a real decision. This is the one that nobody talks about because it sounds almost insultingly simple, but I believe it is the root cause underneath almost everything else on this list. Most people never actually decide to build wealth. They intend to, they mean to, they think about it, they feel like they should, they tell themselves they will start soon. But intention is not a decision. Intention is a feeling, and feelings do not open Roth IRAs. Feelings do not set up automatic transfers. Feelings do not stay consistent for 30 years. Through market crashes and job losses and the 1,000 daily temptations to spend instead of save. A real decision is different from an intention. A real decision changes behavior immediately and permanently. A real decision is followed by action, not someday action, not when things settle down action, but this week action, this weekend action, tonight action. Thomas intended to get serious about retirement savings for about 15 years before he actually did anything about it. 15 years of intention, 15 years of meaning to, and by the time he made a real decision, he had lost the most powerful ingredient in wealth building, time. Chris made a real decision on a Tuesday night after a 12-hour shift when he was tired, and it would have been completely easy to wait until the weekend. He did not wait. He opened the account that night. That single act of not waiting is worth potentially hundreds of thousands of dollars by the time he retires. The decision comes first. Everything else follows from it. Reason number two, they let lifestyle inflation eat every raise. This is the trap that catches people who are actually doing well by most visible measures. People who are getting promotions. People whose income is growing. People who look financially successful from the outside. Lifestyle inflation is what happens when your spending rises automatically to meet your income every time your income rises. You get a $5,000 raise, and within 6 months, you have a slightly more expensive apartment, a slightly newer car, slightly more regular dinners out, slightly more subscriptions, slightly more things, and the raise disappears into a slightly more expensive version of the same life. Thomas got 11 raises over his 23-year career. His salary went from $31,000 when he started to $68,000 today. His income more than doubled, and yet he never felt like he had significantly more money than he did at the beginning, because every raise was absorbed by a slightly more expensive lifestyle almost immediately. The antidote to lifestyle inflation is one rule that sounds simple and is genuinely hard to follow consistently. Every time your income increases, save or invest at least 50% of the increase before you spend any of it. Not after, before. Raise the automatic transfer the same week the raise hits your paycheck. Increase the 401k contribution percentage the day the new salary starts. If you get a $200 per month raise, $100 of it goes to your investment account immediately. You get to enjoy the other $100 in lifestyle. You still feel the raise, you still benefit from it, but half of every income increase goes to your future self before your present self gets a chance to spend it. Priya has been doing this from the beginning. She got a small merit increase 8 months ago, $1,800 annually, about $150 per month after taxes. She increased her Roth IRA contribution by $75 the same week. She kept the other $75. She barely noticed the lifestyle difference. But over 30 years, that extra $75 per month compounds into approximately $170,000 in additional retirement savings from one small raise handled correctly. Reason number three, they never learned to separate needs from wants in a way that actually changed their behavior. Every personal finance resource on earth will tell you the difference between needs and wants. It is the first lesson in every budgeting course ever created. And yet knowing the difference does almost nothing for most people's actual behavior. Because the real challenge is not understanding the distinction intellectually. It is feeling it differently in the moment of decision. Here is what actually happens in the real world. A want that you have been thinking about for 2 weeks does not feel like a want anymore by the time you are standing in front of it. It feels like something you have earned, something you deserve, something that is practically a need at this point given how long you have been patient. The brain is extraordinarily good at reclassifying wants as needs given enough time and enough emotional investment. Thomas did not buy things on impulse. He was actually quite deliberate about purchases. He thought about them, he waited, he considered them carefully, and then he bought them anyway, because by the time he had thought about something for 3 weeks, it had quietly moved from want to need in his internal accounting. The solution is not more willpower in the moment of decision. The solution is reducing the number of moments of decision you have to face. Automation, separation, structure, getting the money out of reach before the wanting starts. This is exactly why every strategy in this series has centered on automation. Not because automation is a clever trick, because automation is the only reliable way to take human psychology out of the equation at the moments when human psychology is most likely to work against you. Reason number four, they thought about investing instead of doing it. This one is particularly common among smart, thoughtful people. People who read about investing, who follow financial news, who understand the concepts, who could explain compound interest, index funds, and Roth IRA contribution limits in detail, and who somehow never quite got around to actually investing. There is a very comfortable place that a lot of people live in when it comes to money. The place of learning and planning and preparing, of reading one more book, watching one more video, waiting until they understand it a little better before they start. It feels like progress. It feels responsible. It feels like the right thing to do before committing real money to something. But learning about investing is not investing. Planning to invest is not investing. Feeling ready to invest is not investing. The only thing that is investing is actually putting money into an account and leaving it there. Thomas spent 3 years in the late 2000s reading about investing. Books, websites, forums. He understood the concepts deeply. He just kept feeling like he needed to understand a little more before he started. By the time he felt ready, he had missed 3 years of market returns during a period that turned out to be one of the better decades for the S&P 500 in recent history. The stock market does not wait for you to feel ready. Time does not pause while you prepare. Every month you spend learning instead of doing is a month of compounding you cannot get back. You do not need to understand everything before you start. You need to understand 3 things. Open a Roth IRA. Put money in a low-cost index fund. Leave it alone. Everything else can be learned while the money is already working. Reason number 5, they let fear make their financial decisions. Fear is the most expensive emotion in personal finance, more expensive than greed, more expensive than impulsiveness, more expensive than any specific bad financial decision most people make. Fear keeps money in savings accounts earning nothing because the stock market feels risky. Fear causes people to sell investments during market downturns, locking in losses at exactly the wrong moment. Fear keeps people from starting, because what if they do it wrong? Fear keeps people in jobs they hate, because what if the next one does not work out? Fear keeps people from negotiating their salary, because what if the employer says no? Thomas pulled his 401k out of stocks in 2009 when the market dropped sharply during the financial crisis. He moved everything into cash inside his retirement account because the news was terrifying and it felt like the responsible thing to do. He watched from the sidelines as the market recovered, one of the greatest bull market runs in history, and missed most of it because he was waiting for things to feel safe again. By the time he moved back in, the best recovery gains were already gone. That single fear-based decision cost Thomas an estimated $40,000 to $60,000 in returns over the following decade. One decision made in a moment of fear. The antidote to financial fear is not courage. It is structure. It is automation that keeps contributing regardless of what the market is doing. It is a long enough time horizon that short-term drops become irrelevant noise. It is understanding deeply and viscerally that the market has recovered from every single downturn in its history, every crash, every recession, every crisis, and gone on to reach new highs. Not some of them, all of them. Fear is loudest exactly when it is least useful. And the best protection against fear-based decisions is a system that does not require you to make decisions in the moments when fear is loudest. Reason number 6, they compared themselves to the wrong people. This one is subtle, and it is getting worse in the age of social media. Human beings are wired for social comparison. We gauge our own progress not against an objective standard, but against the people around us. And for most of human history, the people around us were our actual neighbors, people with roughly similar incomes and similar lifestyles. The comparison was relatively grounded in reality. Now the comparison is against a curated highlight reel of the most visually successful moments of millions of strangers, many of whom are performing a level of wealth they do not actually have, financing a lifestyle on debt that looks like prosperity from the outside and is quietly hollowing them out from the inside. Thomas bought a nicer car than he needed in his early 40s because most of his social circle seemed to be driving nicer cars. He upgraded his house more than his financial situation warranted because the neighborhood he wanted to be in required a certain level of visible success. He spent money on the appearance of financial health, while the actual foundation of his financial life remained underdeveloped. The people who build real wealth quietly on regular salaries do not look wealthy in the way social media defines wealthy. They drive reasonable cars. They live in reasonable houses. They do not signal status through possessions because they understand that every dollar spent on signaling status is a dollar not compounding toward actual financial freedom. Real wealth is not visible from the outside. Real wealth is a number in an account that nobody can see. And the people with the most impressive visible signals of wealth are often the people with the least actual wealth underneath the surface. Stop comparing your financial reality to other people's financial performance. The comparison is almost always between your insides and their outsides. And that comparison will cost you everything if you let it drive your decisions. Reason number 7, they waited for the perfect moment. There is no perfect moment. There has never been a perfect moment. There will never be a perfect moment. The market is always either too high or too volatile or too uncertain or too something. Life is always either too busy or too unstable or too transitional or too something. There is always a reason that right now is not quite the right time, and that starting after this next thing resolves makes more sense. Thomas started seriously investing at age 47, not because 47 was the right moment, because he finally stopped waiting for a right moment to appear. He had been waiting for 22 years. The right moment never came. He started anyway. And the fact that he started at 47 instead of 48 or 50 is worth something, even if it is worth far less than starting at 27 would have been. The best moment to start was always the past. The second best moment is always right now. Not next month, not after the election, not when the market stabilizes, not when you pay off this one thing. Right now, with what you have, in the account you can open tonight. Now let me bring this back to where it always comes back to. The people in this series who are actually building something. Chris made a real decision on a Tuesday night and did not wait until conditions were perfect. Priya captures every income increase before lifestyle inflation can absorb it. Both of them automated their investing so that fear and temptation never get a vote. None of them are waiting to feel ready or for the market to look safer or for one more piece of information to arrive before they act. They are not special. They do not have advantages Thomas did not have. They are simply doing the things Thomas kept meaning to do, consistently, automatically, and without waiting for a moment that was never going to arrive on its own. Thomas is going to be okay. He started at 47. He has time. Not as much time as he wishes he had, but more than he thinks. Every dollar he puts in now still has 15 to 20 years to compound before he reaches a traditional retirement age. It is not too late. It is never too late to start. It is just more expensive the longer you wait. But you do not have to pay Thomas's price. You are watching this video right now, which means you have time he did not have when he finally got serious. Use it. Do not wait for the moment to feel right. Do not wait until you understand everything. Do not wait until the debt is gone, or the income is higher, or the market is calmer. Make the decision, take the action, build the system, and then leave it alone and let time do what it does. The one thing that changes everything is not a specific investment. It is not a specific strategy. It is not a specific income level or a specific amount of financial knowledge. It is a real decision made right now, not someday, followed immediately by one concrete action. One account opened, one automatic transfer set up, one extra debt payment made, one financial move that turns an intention into a fact. The people who build real wealth on regular incomes are not smarter than Thomas. They are not luckier than Thomas. They are not more disciplined in some innate biological way that Thomas was not. They just stopped waiting. And then they built a system so that stopping waiting was a one-time decision instead of a daily battle. That is available to you right now, tonight, with whatever you have, wherever you are starting from. Do not be Thomas at 52 wondering where the time went. Be Chris on a Tuesday night deciding that tonight is the night. The moment is now. It has always been now. It will only ever be now. I'll see you in the next one. And as always, if this video hit different, if it made you see something in a new way, hit subscribe. Every single week I put out one video about the money moves that matter for regular people building something real. No fluff, no filler, just the stuff that actually changes your financial life. Hit subscribe, and I will see you next week.